Hello, welcome to your reading, everybody. So, as always, doing a reading. Today, I'll tell you first about how I got inspired for this reading because I was coming back from the Gold Coast today, driving from Gold Coast to Brisbane, and I had a few interesting conversations and dream interpretation was popping up. But it didn't feel like the right reading, and I still didn't know until I did a quick meditation and I slightly fell asleep, I think. I don't know, I just kind of just went deep, I guess. But it was only a short time, but I was there for a bit. And anywho, the song kept playing, you'll probably know it, Are you worried child? Heaven's got a plan for you, or plan for you, yeah. And so I thought that's really where this is coming from. See this as a message from the soul. And it was really touching on from the aspects that I got from that title or the lyrics in the song was finding meaning or purpose in the now. So that is exactly what this reading is going to be based about. If you want to see it as more of an overarching theme, you could see this as a message from your soul. However, regardless, this is a message for you. Okay, so we're going to pick some piles. I'm going to see which ones call out. Okay. And then we'll get into the reading. This might be a little close today, so some of the cards might be squished up. See if I can adjust the sensors. But otherwise it should be good. It should look good. What was interesting is when I was pulling the cards, this deck, one of the cards got left behind in the box, and I was like, oh, which one's this one? It was Celestite, and it was Unconditional Trust, and it was Mother Mary. And so that really solidified what this reading is about. Like, Heaven's Got a Plan for You normally touches on heaven, right? Angelics, human souls, the lighter side of the afterlife, and that card was Celestite, really touching on celestial. So it was just very interesting and nurturing, with Mother Mary coming through as well. Divine feminine energy. So regardless of all that, that just solidified what this reading is about. It's really potential purpose coming through in here as well. I'll try not to get it too muddled up, but overall, it really does focus on the same kind of message, finding meaning and purpose in the moment. And whenever you're reading this, watching this rather, then this is the moment. Listen to the message for today. Don't worry about the future, the past. This is for now. Okay. Without further ado, let's have a look at your cards. You have Part 1, Goddess Maya with the ruby aura quartz, searing presence. Okay. Crystal number is 888. For pile number 2, you have Angel Bathiel and the Rose Quartz with Heart Healing. This is crystal number 444. And for pile number 3, you have Goddess Rhiannon and Amazonite with Integrity. This is card or crystal number 888. Alright everyone, this will be your reading for today. So pick whichever piles call out to you. If there's multiple, feel free to look at those. You may want to have in your mindset a meaning, purpose for this reading. Feel free to do that. That'll help guide you to which pile is correct for you. Otherwise, just trust your intuition. Give yourself some space and time to tap into that. As the world's progressing, and I guess time's progressing, we're getting more and more in tune with who we are and our soul's purpose, our soul's calling, and picking piles and that kind of thing. Maybe you've felt it as well. It seems much easier. You don't need more of this to maybe make a decision, or more of that. It's more of like, I only need me really to make a decision. I only need my intuition, my trust in self. So that may help you. Otherwise, I'll leave you to it. I'll clear these and we'll go straight into your pile. Down in the description, you can click on the timestamps and it'll jump straight to your video. Otherwise, take care and I'll see you in your reading. Welcome everybody. Welcome to your reading. So pile 1, you've chosen the goddess Maya with, and ruby aura quartz with searing presence. I don't have a ruby aura quartz, but I do have an angel aura quartz, and it just really, no way, it doesn't like pick up on a different crystal or anything, but I felt like this wanted to be just seen as well. I would say this is probably, even though there was an angel pile, right, a card with an angel angel on it, this does feel like it is a message, just because it doesn't have, has a goddess instead of an angel. This still feels like it's from the angelics for you, or from your guardian angel. And your guardian angel could be like a human soul as well, like a parent, grandparent, that kind of thing. There's no like hard stuck rules feeling with this one. It's more like whatever you feel is correct, but this feels like it's from that energy. Remember, the theme, I guess, is really around finding meaning and purpose in the moment. And I just want to say that this does feel like it's from your soul, from your like soul family, from your guardian angel, that kind of like energy. So really, really nice, strong energy coming through. You've got searing presence, which does kind of touch on, this is the moment, this is the now. Whatever situation, everyone watching this may be in different situations. This is your kind of like time to make yourself known, I guess, either to yourself or to others, by highlighting meaning in what you're doing, or highlighting what you're doing, showcasing something. There's just like this energy of being seen. And I guess that's because it's searing presence, right? It's very strong energy. Okay. Let's get some cards for you. So cards wanting to come out, but they just don't feel right. Okay. It's like one that's jumped out 3 times. That one is probably it. I do hope you've had a nice weekend day, whatever you're up to. I hope it's filled with good energy, or at least energy that you can learn and grow within. Yeah, this one. Okay, and these will be like the tarot today. However, I like this deck because it's kind of like not traditional tarot. It kind of mixes in with like very new age. Maybe not new age, but now age, if that makes sense. More a progressive kind of oracle slash tarot. It does have the traditional meanings, of course, but also has like a very updated meaning and energy. Okay. Okay. Should be enough. If we need more cards, we'll pull them. But alright, let's take a look at your message today. So, pile number 1, you have the wise one, grow within your current situation. This is kind of how I was touching on, even like when I said, hopefully having a good day with good energy. If not, hopefully you're able to grow within whatever's happening. And this is exactly what the wise one does. The wise one is one who doesn't just continually repeat cycles for the sake of repeating cycles until the lesson's learned. This is someone who can go through certain things and gain insight and knowledge from it, and not go into victim or go into like a negative mindset around all these people are judging me or that kind of thing. This is someone who grows within it. This could be not a situation that is occurring now, but it may be one from the past, and it's really just touching on learning from that and growing within it. Okay, interesting. Got the little owl here. I can't remember what they're called, but I like the little, you know, flicky eyebrow type things. You've got starting point, the beginning and the end. You also have party, it says savor and celebrate. This does feel like a slightly slowing down period for you. You might think that's negative because we're very industrious as humans, I guess is the right word. Like outcomes equal progress, or productivity is important. And it definitely is important. But there's more to life than just what we produce. Like who we are is important. I would say more so than what we produce, but you know, different days that I could change my mind with that. But it really does feel like that. You have this savor and celebrate with party. It's one of those moments where it's time to like appreciate what's around you, appreciate who you are, and start to, I'm not sure. There's like one part of me wants to talk about setting goals or like working towards them, or knowing that, hey, just because I've sidetracked here, that sidetracked might have been better than a direct route, because it's taken me on a path of so much more growth internally or spiritually or even at a soul level, that when I reach my goal, I'm going to be so much better for it. So the start, you can see this is like a new beginning, refresh, even if this is, if something big has happened in the last like 2 years, from 2 years ago, starting to really see it. Sometimes things happen and then we don't really get the benefit or the gain from it straight away, or we don't see it until we look back or even start to like process through it moving forward. This doesn't mean like I'm just talking about like some of the past stuff is kind of like creeping in as well. I just want to say, whatever you've been through, whatever you're going through, this is definitely a time of enjoyment, celebration, learnings and lessons. And I feel like even if you've gone through these and you've come out the other side understanding that, sometimes we still forget to be grateful to our own fortitude, our own resilience. If you've gone through like where resilience has been tested, satisfaction, you know, it's almost like the person who gets gifted some money or something. I've even seen that happen in some cases, and it's turned into a negative, right? It's turned into, well, that will only pay off one debt type thing. And it's like, well, that's one debt down, right? You know what I mean? In a positive sense, it's one debt down. But it's like, oh, is that all type thing? What do I say to that? What do you say to that? You know, it's keeping in mind that these are blessings, even if they come around in a challenging way. Okay. You also have Star Child and Fire Arrow. I can see why they stopped me and wanted me to hold back this white dot and this one. Now we're getting into moving on from, you know, the reminiscing, that kind of thing. This is like, okay, we're starting to look at soul level stuff. We're starting to work on, or you're starting to work on, you know, if you've chosen this pile, obviously, if you're here, but you're starting to work on something that's really calling from your soul. This may push you into things that are outside of what's comfortable. But again, that's where new growth occurs in new situations, different situations. So the Star Child talks about, well, Star Child and Fire Arrow talks about multidimensionality, or multi-dimensional in this card, vision and starseed. And starseed is just like, if you're like, what's a starseed? It's kind of like, I guess souls are generally split up into like 3. There's probably multiple, whatever, that's fine. Let's just stick with 3 for now so it's easier to explain. But it's like there's a human, kind of like, not just human, but an earth soul. And when I look at it like in a spiritual sense, kind of reminds me of like the elements of earth, elements of water and fire and air as well. But like, I guess if you want to get into like mythology and fantastical stuff like fae, gnomes, like earth like, you know, inner earth kind of like beings, creatures that have been on the earth in the past, humans, that kind of energy, that energy of like, this is the, I guess, birthplace of your soul type thing. May have had many incarnations, yeah. And then second one's kind of touch on the outer planets, so other planets in this solar system, other planets in other solar systems, other what is it, galaxies is what I'm trying to say. No, that kind of thing. So this planet could feel very foreign. You might even have been a child and looking up and was like looking for something or answers out there in space, whether that was your calling in life of like maybe going into astrology or going into like you know, physics or something like that. Regardless of that, you might have done that. It might have just been drawn outwardly, and there's a lot of like bits and pieces in there. I wouldn't say go into any of these too deep. This is just like my interpretation. And then the third one is usually like angelic or celestial kind of souls. None are better or worse than each other. Everyone, in my mind anyway, is equal and should be treated as such. No one should be, there's no hierarchy. We already have enough hierarchy type stuff on Earth, right? We don't need that when you're looking at things at a soul level. Everyone's just at different kind of stages or learning different skills, let's say, in their journey as a soul. So I went quite long into that, but I think your guides are pretty happy. You've kind of learned many lessons, and this is like a new beginning in regards to a particular soul calling. So just know that whatever your situation is, even if you feel like things aren't moving, there's something that's starting or beginning, or you're in the midst of a very kind of like meaningful task or purposeful shift. Yeah, makes sense. Got the squire with the beginner's sword. This is practice, new beginnings and journey. So you've got starting point with the beginning and the end, which is like a death and rebirth type thing, type feeling. And this one here is like you're starting to really make some progress in what you're called to do. So you might have even shifted jobs, changed, or started to study something new. I watched a little clip in Japan where this woman was in her 80s and she was graduating. So, you know, it's age, while it does impact us, right? I was lifting my cat coming down the hill because she was upset that we're away, and I twinged my back. So, you know, age does kind of matter in some stuff, but it doesn't really matter in learning. We get told, oh yeah, once you pass this age, you don't learn as much. Whatever. That might be the mathematical kind of equation for, you know, a general kind of consensus, but we're all individuals. We all learn and go through things differently as we are. And we know, sometimes we don't always know, but we generally will know what that means for us. We don't need outside telling us what we can and can't do. We decide that. So just know you're on a path of purpose, and there's some kind of like new beginning, being seen, for maybe even your soul being seen, or your connection with your higher self being kind of brought through. Might be some workings there. I will say, just in the celestial kind of like astrological side, you know, Pluto's in retrograde, and recently in the last couple of weeks, both in Pisces, or, you know, depending on which system you use, we're going with tropical. In Pisces is Saturn and Neptune have just gone into retrograde. So this is a really kind of slowing down of like, you know, progress, or like the hard kind of energies of Saturn, which is interesting. This is in Pisces, and when it slows down, to me, it just kind of feels like there's an idea around, what am I doing? Am I doing things that really mean something? This is like a deep dive into purpose, which can be very physical. You don't have to go off into your mind and float around there. This is like, it's like this Piscean energy with Saturn energy. It's like grounding that in, finding purpose in what you're doing, finding purpose and meaning in the people, or like your interactions and connections and the people around you. So anywho, I'm probably gone off, but I'm just letting it all flow through at the moment. Lots of interesting beginnings. You know, celebrate the points of win, and even the points where things may not have felt like a win, especially if you've learned something from it. because every single learning is like a huge bonus. Earth is a great place for growth. It's such a dense kind of reality, right? It's hard to shift things and move things as easily as it is in other kind of like levels, let's say, that we, even just creating something or doing something or making an effort to change something within ourselves and our outside world deserves to be celebrated. Okay. You also have Sky with the 7 of Earth Guardians. I like this. A lot of shift in meaning. Like you can see these little butterflies here, and they always make me think of shifting, changing, and growth. This is also a sign of patience, right? 7 of Pentacles is that kind of like tending to what needs to be grown. So you may not see like huge results immediately, but this isn't about wins. It's not about like the end goal. It's about like, what do I do now? What do I need to cultivate or focus on now? This is a question for your heart. You need to go within if you're still like, I don't understand what this is about. There's too many signs here of like your soul's calling and your soul messages. So funny, I was thinking of this card when I was doing the reading. I was like, I wonder if it came out. Because I did that little meditation, as I said in the beginning introduction. If you were listening to it, if you just jumped straight to the video, I did talk about this, but that's okay, don't worry. Not judging. I do this all the time if I watch other people's sometimes as well, because it's nice to get an idea, an update of like what I'm feeling, but also what's happening in the collective. You can watch a lot of readers if you have time. There's a lot of messages, but it, just it's really nice to get some kind of feedback or information on what's happening with people, how people are feeling. Anywho, this one came through, and that's why I was like, I need to like be a little patient to see what this is about and let go of like my need to know what the reading's going to be about. Just feel it out and read. So that's why at the start it might have sounded a little bit messy, but really it was just so easy to understand from like my own personal perspective. It was just more of like, how do I translate that to English? And the words come out of my mouth, so it's easy for everyone here. And I think that the title will speak for itself. However, you got the Celestial Tree of Infinite Akash. I was feeling this as well. It's like with that song, I used to look in Heaven's Got a Plan for You. This is how I got into this particular message for today. That really does touch on, the past. Like, I used to look into my father's eyes, things have changed, that kind of thing. I met a girl, I met a girl that was different as kind of part of the other lyrics. And it goes on to talk about we ruled the world kind of thing. We're like kings and queens. And it kind of just makes me think of like the past in that life potentially, but also in past lives. We've had so many different interactions and connections, and that can kind of, especially if you get into a lot of past life readings, you can get very caught in the past life like it's happening now. And no, now is happening now. The past is here to assist us on showing our possibilities, capabilities within ourselves. You have all that energy that you've ever lived. And so it's like, what do I take from those past lives, knowing there's more lives to be lived, and utilize it in a way that will help this life, and not hold on to the past life like old stuff, like old trinkets especially. Old trinkets kind of means like, if you've had like a difficult interaction with a particular soul in one life, you could bring that into this life, and potentially that same soul's there. And it's like good, because this is a time to both work together in some way and release it, whether you start to say, you're crossing lines or stop interacting with them, whatever it is. It's got to play out the way it needs to, and you don't have to take it on like it's going to change your whole life moving forward. It needs to be something that is expressed, felt, said, and then released and moved on through. However long that takes is, it's up to you. There's no judgment or time limit, so to speak. This is a good breath though, especially with party. It's a good time to take a breath. Okay. You also have the Sage of Earth Guardians with the Woodland Forest. So this is like kind of like a magical time. That's why I was thinking like there's a sense of like earth energy in here. Like when I was talking about the different kind of souls, I mean, I'm sure there's many more, but I just wanted to touch on those kind of like energies. And of course, none of them are better than the other ones. It doesn't work like that. New souls aren't better than old souls, or old souls aren't better than new souls, right? It's kind of like saying someone in the 80s is better than someone that's 5 years old. Like, in what way? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean better or worse. Anyway, got the sage here. The sage is like all-knowing knowledge, and also traditionally is the king of pentacles, which is stability, fertility. When I say fertility, it's not like birthing, but it's like having an abundance to be able to utilize what you have to support others, to grow what you want to grow, which sometimes we have a lot of like things within us or around us that we could utilize to get what we want, but we're afraid to rock the boat or to change paths of what we're already on. And if we're not enjoying what we're on, then what's the harm? That's all I'd have to say with that. So this is a really good time to be able to create what you want. Even if you took this reading and you were living out of a car or something like that, and you might think, well, I don't have a lot. There is something there, like you still have your full body and you're incarnated to be able to make some shifts and changes that you want to see. You know, each step takes time. This is not a rush job. This isn't like, you know, if you're living out of your car, let's say, for example, this isn't about just finding a ticket and getting $1 million and be able to change it all. This is slow progression, finding people. You may need to collaborate with people. Like here, you may need to work with people or under people, so to speak, like a, you know, new job, and learn, you know, whatever this means to you. This is the time to start contemplating and thinking about this and making a shift. All right, and lastly, we have the shadow clearing, the catalyst. Catalyst is, excuse me. So the catalyst, I'm just going to take a drink. Whenever my voice goes in a reading, sometimes I can talk to speaking your truth, that kind of thing. I think that's a little bit simple to just say for this, because shadow clearing is about, you know, cleansing some stuff too. The suspended one is the hanged man traditionally, and that's generally about letting go. Like he's upside down to see the world from a different perspective, from my understanding, or like my feeling with this reading especially. Like you sit in like reverse to slow down and also like empty your pockets of the things that don't matter, the things that you thought were so important in life, like, you know, a designer bag, or like this particular lipstick or like blush or whatever, you know, that's gonna, sometimes those things are really great for improving our mood to get to where we need to be, but that's not what life's about. It's not about the external. It's about utilizing whatever we have to improve or gain or like assist or like support ourselves, others, you know, all those kind of like meaningful things. And like I say, I'm not ragging on luxury designer stuff. Absolutely, if that's how what gives you pleasure, what gives you like joy, then absolutely, that's purpose, like that's meaningful, right? But what are you feeling inside? Why I would even question, why does this give you purpose? Why does this, you know, design handbag give you meaning and purpose in life? What does that give you? It should be building you up so you can grow, essentially. Not the thing provides you with meaning, because you're so much more than a designer bag, right? Okay. The catalyst is also the tower in traditional tarot, which is about destruction and collapsing so that the new can come. So maybe potentially some things have really shifted in your past, and you've started to make a lot of headway on this, and now it's like I guess a new beginning within the work you're doing. I don't know what that means, but there could be like something new happening. This could be job, partner, anything like that. Or this is like a complete change or complete renew. So something could have actually finished, like a redundancy, a relationship end, death, birth, those kind of things, to now start to like, oh, this is going to provide a lot of meaning. It's going to take some time, especially if it's like a birth, right? That takes a long time, because that's not something that you get finished in a couple of months. That takes 18 years plus. It takes a whole the rest of your lifetime in some way, and it changes along the path. And we have a lot of examples with that, which is kind of handy, of like how children interact as we get older, and how we can kind of support and help them as well. But that's just one little example. And I think the Seven of Pentacles really touches on that. I do like it's in the sky though, because it changes it completely from the ground. It's like a whole new environment, even though it's still in your physical world. It's like moving house, moving countries, especially. It's still on Earth, but it's a completely different environment, right? It's like going into another planet or something. And sometimes, especially if you've gone from like humid and hot, like in the tropics, let's say, to somewhere like the UK, where it's a lot cooler and damper, and it's just a different environment. Okay, I think that is about all. I do think they want to say something here. So what's the next step? I think there's so what's the next step with this reading? Because you may feel, hopefully you feel inspired, because this is all about like letting something shine through from within. You don't have to tell me or tell anyone particularly. You just need to know what that is, find it, and let it flow through. And if you've been searching and you're not sure, what do you ask yourself, like, what do you feel needs to come through from you? And write it down, and start writing either a list or just automatic write if you want to try that, because that's I don't want to say something's easy, especially if some people find it harder, but to me it's like an easy way to not have input from anyone else and just channel your own message through, and trust that what you write is coming from your own soul, or from your own universal energy. Okay, so what can be the next step? What will be the next step for you? Okay. Okay, so you've got the Lord would take charge with authority. So this is owning whatever has happened, whatever you've done, whatever has happened to you, and start to not let situation or circumstance dictate your future. Start to take control, like rearranging the stars yourself with the Lord. Okay, this one. Okay, really nice messages coming through with like, what's the next step for you, Power One? But you've got the Lord, take charge with authority, and the White Witch, be the light. These are really nice cards. It's not talking about like masculine or feminine. It's really talking about a bridge between. And I do like, again, we've got like a moth here, about shifting and changing with this owl. It's kind of interesting. It's got antlers. Again, like knowledge and learning, but there's like method to movement, there's purpose to movement. It's not about I'm this and that's it. I am so much more, and I'm integrating so much more of myself, and there's so much light and life within me that needs to come out. I just saw something fly up, and I don't know what that was. I really have no idea what that was, but it looked like, I didn't even know what it looked like. I have no idea, but it was like this shift up, I guess, and it was like the light coming through to the outside. So yeah, you've just got to be the light. There is no purpose to, shining shadows or anything like that. Shining a light on shadows is different, right? You shine a light on shadows to know what's causing difficulty and challenge, so you can clear it, integrate it, recycle it, whatever. with the catalyst coming through, but the shadows are clearing, and I think the shadows have cleared. This is about shining your light, and I will say this is like purpose and meaningful light, not ego light, not even ego spiritual light. It's not about telling people what they should be or who they should be. This is about just being yourself, essentially just being. Okay, sorry, I had to take a deep breath. All right, I really hope this has helped in some way. I know it was kind of a, well, I don't know, it was a message really. There's no like labeling it. It's kind of like, this is a message for you. You've chosen pile number 1. You're here for a meaning, for purpose. You're way more than anything that's ever happened to you. Way more. You always will be. You always have the opportunity to enjoy, celebrate, gratitude for the opportunities that will come. Things shift and change, right? Sometimes it's heavy, sometimes it's like great, sometimes it doesn't feel great. And that's okay. Like when I say that's okay, I mean, it's okay to feel how you feel. I don't want you to go out and go, okay, now if anything bad happens to me, I need to be okay with it. Absolutely not. You're allowed to be angry, pissed off with it, whatever. That's fine. This is just about recognizing and knowing that there's so much more than just your circumstances that happen to you, so much more, and you've been so much more. You have so much history with growth and life on this planet and potentially in others and other realms. Okay, so shine your light. Essentially, at the last card, be the light. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for letting me read for you pile number 1. Take care of yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or even leave a comment. Always read them because it's not a huge subscription at the moment, so I have so much time to like really have a look through the messages that come through, and I always appreciate it. Otherwise, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Hello, welcome to your reading, pile number 2. So you have chosen the angel Bathiel and Rose Quartz with Healing Heart. There was a few songs coming through while I was doing your reading. Here Comes the Sun came through, and that really felt like, things are starting to really shift. Especially around inner healing, because when I was shuffling this deck, it flipped over like a whole bunch of cards, but the one that I saw when it because it kind of, when I say a bunch of cards, it went split and then flip, was the Medicine Mother, and it talks about kind of like more inner healing as well, but trusting in your own like definition or version of it, trusting in your own, not like what story you're telling yourself, just trusting that, this is a shift and change and growth within some kind of inner healing. So we haven't pulled any cards yet besides this one. But, finding meaning and purpose in the now really does touch on knowing that this is already occurring and you're already growing, and potentially even attracting some kind of like person if you're looking at that as well. Starting to nourish and soothe your soul. Okay, let's grab some more cards. When I say attracting someone, it could be, healing from the past, past energies, so that you can move into the next phase of your life with someone or collaborating with someone. That could be just for some people. Some people it could be just healing is enough right now. And then whatever happens, you'll review it when it comes up. I always think that's a perfect way of living life, is like, I'm not going to focus too much heavily on the path forward, especially if I've got goals that I know I want to reach in the future. Those are great. But whatever pops up, I will assess and look at when they pop up, as they pop up. That keeps you out of like the future mind or the kind of prediction mind and into the now, because all we have is now. Okay. Let's grab these ones. This can be a challenging time at the moment as well. There are a few in retrograde planets. There's some minor dwarf planets, I think, as well, which I guess is included with Pluto being in retrograde. But Pallas is also in retrograde, which is about harvest and like it kind of feels like meaning, like what we're working towards. And when it's reversed, or not really reversed, in retrograde, it just feels like a slowing down and a really reflection around what we're doing instead of just doing. Saturn's also in retrograde, and Neptune's in retrograde as well. So there's a lot happening with that on that front, and it really is like, what are we doing in our lives that we're really finding that's giving us meaning? Are we just doing because it's like productive? But if we're not producing, you know, if it takes us 10 years to produce something great, there's that. If it takes us 1 year to produce 1,000 things that are mediocre, like is it worth doing that 10 years, or can we do a whole lot of mediocre stuff? You know what I mean? It's like, what's really important here? Okay. All right, finding meaning and purpose in the moment. I'm finding it so interesting with this card being picked for this reading. Like, it might be quite clear with Healing Heart, you know, overcoming growth, not letting the past dictate you. But it's like, this is an interesting pile as well. I'm just so excited to see what comes through. I don't know why I'm so hyped about it, but also I had to go cleanse after the last one. Not that it was heavy or anything, but I just needed to like wash that aside. So this one is probably going to be quite different from the first one, from the first pile. Hello, jumpy cards. Let's grab you two. All right, let's take a look. If we need more cards, we can get them. But as it sits, these are the cards for you. Just going to take a quick drink. It's interesting, we're just starting and the song playing is Love Didn't Last. That could come through with this heart healing. And sometimes certain things are just supposed to be moments in time, right? I always put this out there. If we always had Michelin star food, that would be our base. And what's higher than that, there's probably some stuff, right? There's certain things that, depending on your own tastes as well, that may be better. But like if it's up here and then we're going down here to eat, it's like rubbish, right? When we're down here with food, like not having a lot of, maybe getting nutritious food, but like variety, let's say. And then we try here, it's like a moment in time. So it's like, that is the moment. When you're always up there in that's becomes your norm. So sometimes we are supposed to reach those peaks and troughs in life to really appreciate either the kind of plateaus or the like moments of peace, let's say, until the next kind of wave. Who knows? But anywho, let's begin. All right, so you've got the Druid with hold space. This could be you, or it could be someone else energetically, even guide is holding space for you. To really reflect or to really hone in on something. I'll have a look what else comes through. But the Druid coming through with holding space to me is kind of like when I stream or even these readings, it's space for you to connect with yourself. It's giving you, you know, not me telling you what to do, but giving you the space to really look within, really feel into the reading, really feel into the energy that flows through, let's say your speakers or the screen, into your energy. I don't know why, but I just got like a I don't know, I wanted to say hello. I don't know if someone's kid just kind of like popped up. I don't know. That was really interesting. But anywho, a child came through. They could be here or on the other side, I'm not sure. But it's just like they kind of like interrupted to say hello. Anyway, we'll keep going. Kind of funny with this one coming through, the inner guide from deep inside. This could be a guide coming through. This could be even like a past loved one as well. Even if you've had, I mean, these could be quite heavy, which may come through with healing heart, but even if you've had like miscarriages or something like that, or lost a child, lost parents, that kind of thing, probably all know someone that we've lost in this life. I think as you get older, it's more likely, right? Grandparents, great-grandparents, if you even got to meet them, if you're lucky enough, you know, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, they're all kind of coming through here. Even if you had difficult relationships, I feel like they're all starting to be, whether the relationship with them was the one that's causing any discomfort, this is really a time to reflect and start to move forward in a positive sense. Giving yourself space as well. This holding space is like a huge lesson to learn for ourselves, and then knowing when and how and where to do it for others. It's giving people a place to speak. It's kind of like AA, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous or something like that. It's a space to really feel safe, but also to be able to express yourself, or a psychiatrist or some psychologist, those kind of things. You've got rebuild with a new foundation. Very cool. Yeah, some of your old stories getting taken out so you can start to build a new tower on solid foundations instead of wobbly foundations, right? That's why some old buildings go down so new ones can be erected. It's so they can withstand the changing climate, earthquakes, whatever, you know, anything. Wow. You also have Thunderbird and Ankh with Storm, Eternal Soul, and Longevity. I did say that this was going to touch on like soul purpose, meaning, and I think this is coming through right in the center. It's just to remind you that all this is temporary. All these heavy feelings and stuff like that are temporary. This isn't these things aren't here to like stay with you for the rest of eternity. The lessons I feel will, but the bits and pieces and the, I guess, what would you say? All the little details don't always. There'll be like a record of it, but they're just what's happened, not what needs to be in your vicinity right now. You have so much, there's so much like support from the other side for you. Yeah, it's a heavy one. You've got the Guardian with the Empty Cup, nurture, disconnect, and neglect. This could have been how you felt as well. And you might even think, and like, I mean, I don't want to always talk about heavy stuff, right? But let's be real, we go through many different things. But if there was like a loss of someone that you're very close to, this kind of, sometimes you may think they're on the other side alone, or you may feel like they did this to you type thing, like they may have left you type feeling. It's a tough one, but just know that this is part of, I guess, incarnating and leaving. They don't really leave just because we can't physically sense them. Sometimes we can physically sense them, right? We get chills, we get like shadows in the corners, or like lights flickering, all that kind of stuff. These things happen. I would say if you do feel disconnected from this, remember who you are, connect with who you are, connect with your guidance, look after yourself. Self-care is really important here too. Nurture in nature, get out into into nature and connect with like the living, breathing things out there, like plants, animals, pets, you know, all that kind of stuff helps really connect us, ground us, and revitalizes our energy. Okay, so you've got the Sky card, 7 of Earth Guardians. This popped up in the exact same position as Power 1. If this card's like very resonant to you, then you might want to check out pile 1. It's got a lot of butterflies in it. Butterflies to me always represent transformation and change, and the 7 of Earth Guardians is like a counterpart to the, or like a not a duplication, but like a altered version of the 7 of Pentacles, which is that person who is growing, waiting patiently, but knowing that what they're doing, like fertilizing the plants with good energy, will result in a good harvest, that kind of thing. So it's like going up into the heavens, let's say, or the mind, to look at whatever's going on in my mind, not to live there and live in the past or live in like heaven, let's say, but to know that that is there for when it's your time to pass or cross over, or those loved ones are there when it's your time, right? But you're here now to live life. Okay. You also have harmony and adversity. This is the 5 of light codes. Interesting one, 5 of wands in traditional, but harmony and adversity. This is like really touching on no matter what kind of pops up, whether it's delays in flight or, I don't know, someone doesn't bring the right cake to a cake fair. You know what I mean? It could be like we focus on so many little things and many things that we find very important in that moment. You know, it's kind of like being able to neutralize any fire ups or things that really don't matter, because it's really like there's so much out there, there's so much happening that we get caught up in the one minute detail and we like sit on it for, I don't know, potentially even more than one lifetime, right? Like, but this happened to me and I need it. I don't know. By that time, they don't even know. It's kind of like with wars in countries. It's like they're fighting, and then 100 years pass and the original fight, these people don't even know why they were fighting, right? So it's just like, it's just the time to like question, like, what am I doing? Why am I feeling this? What do I need? How do I need to move beyond these past things or old feelings? This is also like, if we go by traditional, is competition, right? Friendly competition, sometimes competition with others. Competition can bring out new limit breaks or breaking over perceived limits, like with people running the 100 meters. Like back in the day, there was like, oh, no one could break 10 seconds. Once it was broken, everyone was breaking it, right? Well, probably not everyone, but everyone that was competing, there was a lot of people starting to overcome it and break it. And so it's like, okay, now that's not the perceived limit. We've overcome that. So it kind of breaks paradigms, right? That kind of thing. So sometimes these things happen to move beyond them and move beyond our perceived limitations. Because it's like, oh, wow, I can handle a lot of difficult things and not let that break the core of who I am. I am allowed to feel what I feel, but I don't let what I feel from past situations impact my future and current relationships, friendships, life, feeling towards myself. So there's a lot there with that one card. Okay, you have got to navigate from the heart, the 8 of light codes. Traditionally, this would be 8 of wands, which is the swiftness kind of card, but I do like this one because you do have the heart healing, and this doesn't mean your heart is broken or destroyed. Your heart is still there, running perfectly fine as it should be. There are just things that are impacting the messages from your heart coming through. It's filtered through potentially some kind of like emptiness or grief around particular situations or people. So we've got navigate from the heart, 8 of light codes. Know that, again, this is temporary. The swiftness is like you go through these temporary things to help yourself grow. It doesn't mean that whatever happened is just being whitewashed or like ignored. It's really about feeling it, but knowing that the past doesn't have to dictate anything to move forward if we don't want it to. But we can decide that. It's up to us. And the last card here is the lights collect the world. I think this is touching on your meaning and purpose in life, is to complete something. You're like, this is actually a life where you are closing off a particular cycle or chapter. Probably not everything in this lifetime, but like you have a real good opportunity to close off a chapter in this lifetime and celebrate that and enjoy it once you have finished with this lifetime. It could be like feeling like a neglect from a particular parent, right? And letting that dictate your entire future and how you treat potentially the same gender or whoever, or not trusting that gender, whatever. If it's like that, or if it's something different, you know, whatever it is, however it plays out, this is about really moving beyond that. This song is so loud in my headset for no reason. The volume hasn't changed, and all the other songs didn't peak up, but this one is called Somebody New. So it could be about letting someone in, releasing the past loved one, or like an ex or something like that. This is about bringing in that like feeling of I'm resilient, I'm capable, I have a lot of vitality or like fortitude to be able to overcome this. And one, I've overcome it, and I'm also now not going to let it dictate how I think and feel about particular people or, you know, whatever. Makes a lot of sense. Somebody new foundation. This is a huge amount of growth. I do want to pull some cards though. So I feel like your reading is really touching on overcoming grief, seeing it as all temporary, which everything is, right? In 100 years, someone will be living in our house, strangers. They will have our clothes, our equipment. They might have like recycled it, destroyed it, changed it, you know, all that kind of stuff. We're not going to be here forever, and this plane of existence isn't meant for forever. So if we start holding on to minute details or little things or even big things that aren't happening anymore, don't need to be in our mindset or like in our soul, we can start to release it, and you really have a huge opportunity to do that. I 100% believe that you will do this, but it's like, do you do this on your deathbed, or do you do this now to really enjoy aspects and parts of life? I feel like you're probably already on that road. If you're not, then you're coming up to it. I would say you've already started though, which is really nice. Appreciate that as well, like not from just other people, but from yourself. Like be proud in your own growth, I guess. This is a good pause, I feel. There's like an aspect of pause from whenever the changes happen to now. There's been a, I don't know about a pause, like nothing's happened, but more like a huge amount of reflection, I guess. I'm not sure. Okay, so I just want to get a little bit of details on what this thing is that's been holding you down, because while I've talked about a lot of different scenarios, I want to get more information potentially for you. So anything that's holding you back, can you give me some insight? Nope, that one just disappeared. Okay. You've got the carbuncle, discovery, unearthing, and unknown. It's something that's really impacted your like depth. It's kind of like, you know, when we get cut on our hands, it'll like a scratch or something, it'll heal up. But we get a scratch on our heart, that's a whole nother story, right? It's not a great thing. So this is like something that's gone deep within, and it's left some kind of scar. But a scar is just like a scar. It's not something that defines us, has to define us. Doesn't have to anyway. Could be very personal and private with these two cards. We've got the unknown kind of coming through, and then secrets here on just like the little meanings. But this is the miracle worker and grimoire. Grimoires are like, I guess they're kind of like traditionally like from what a witch would write her like a ledger, or like her her stories, right? Even like ingredients and like potions and like spells and that kind of thing. But you know, this miracle worker is trying to work so hard, potentially even in this past situational thing, it has caused like, I don't know, it's so shadowy for me to look at. I would just say some kind of like scar, let's say. And like I said, the scars heal. I could be defined by scars I've got on my body from surgeries and stuff that I've had, but I don't let it. It's just something that has happened, and that's like a reminder, and I went through it and I came out the other side alive and fine. It didn't end me. So anyway, interesting with astral travel and cost. It's like, what is the cost? Like, do you want to wait for a long time to move beyond some of this challenge? Because there will be a cost, right? And there's also a cost for moving through it now. It's like you have to process and deal with whatever. You have to unearth this kind of like draining feeling, even if you have no idea what it's about, and you're like, but there's something kind of like in the Matrix when Neo, like in the original, when he wakes up and you know, in the whatever the computer kind type Earth world, and he's always feeling drained, and he follows the white rabbit because he's kind of like getting those hints and ideas when he's on his computer, right? He's getting told like, do you ever feel like there's just something like not right and all that kind of stuff? That could be the feelings, and it's like, it's okay to unearth and unflesh them at this time, but take your time with it, and trust yourself, because you know what pace you want to set this beating drum at. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. There's a lot here to digest. Potentially you might want to go back and re-watch this if you have time. Put it on 1.5 so it goes really fast and speeds through it if you don't want to sit around for as long as I've probably chit-chatted for. So take this, of course, with a grain of salt. Every reading is just from what I feel is coming through, but this is a really nice message. And, you know, let the dawn of the new day come through for you. Past is the past, and you're here to learn, but even potentially share your knowledge or utilize your upbringing for the benefit of others or something like that. What better way to honor strength in yourself than to support and help others? Okay, thank you so much for letting me read for you. Take care, pile number 2, and I'll see you next time. Welcome to your reading pile number 3. So you've chosen a very interesting one. Remember, this reading is around finding meaning and purpose in the moment. This could also be seen as like a soul message or a message from your higher self. But anyway, we'll follow through with that theme. You've got Goddess Rhiannon. I'm not sure of Goddess Rhiannon. I don't know her. But we've got Amazonite and Integrity, which is really interesting. It's doing what is right? And there was like a message of don't let, I can't remember what it was, but when I was shuffling, I was like, don't let something define you. Don't let, I guess, the past define you. There's like that kind of theme coming through, which is very interesting. But we'll have a look at what cards come through for your reading today. Remember, this is a message finding meaning in the now. And you don't need to let anyone or anything slow you down from being yourself, really. Sometimes we have to face our own integrity of what we're doing. Like, it's like, is this right for us? Is this right? Even though we may be gaining like material or gaining something, even if it's like gaining closeness or partnership. But are we wanting a more elevated version of that, or are we wanting not more of like something, but just like a different experience? So it's interesting to question our own reason why we do what we do. Okay. This one actually wants to come through too. Don't know if I'm going to have enough space, so I'm going to put it on top of it. If you need to see them, I'll hold them up to the camera so you can see as well. Might want to look up Goddess Rhiannon. I'm going to assume it's in regards to her integrity or have something to do, her story, with doing what's right. And that could be like sometimes the integrity gets attested because we are in a connection, let's say a relationship where we're devalued. And so once it finishes and we move on, we hold on to that and start to reflect it through how we interact with others, whether we're the one who doesn't purposely meanful, but like sends that energy out because we've had it done to us, so we do it to someone else before they do it to us type thing. It's like out of fear. Never know. But regardless, let's see. Okay. These Monster Garden cards can also be brought now. I'll leave a link in the description where you can buy those. They are a friend's card that he's created through a game he's also created, so they are great cards. Okay, I'm gonna take this one. And it can be hard to find meaning and purpose when things are challenging, right? It's easy to say it when everything's going right, because it's like, oh, I find lots of meaning and purpose in life. It's like, yeah, because everything's at a peak or on the way up, right? So of course, but even when things are on the way down, there's reason for going down into the depths of like challenging times or difficult times, because then we get to appreciate more of the up times, the healthier times. I find that a lot, especially if you put it into a context of like being sick, having a flu. We kind of like sit in there and like can't even breathe properly, right? Because the nose is blocked, our throat's sore, and our muscles are pained. It's like, oh, I can really appreciate it now when I'm exercising or jogging. I'm complaining about jogging or exercising, but at least I have the option to do that because I'm doing that to myself, right? I'm exercising for whatever reason and purpose for myself. I'm not doing it because I'm forced to. And yeah, it's interesting just to get some of those troughs, and then you're like, when you wake up and you're feeling good and you're over the sick, you can be like, oh yes, thank you body for healing, you know, or whatever you want to say to yourself. Appreciation is like high in those situations. This one wants to come through. Okay. But this is a message of finding meaning and purpose in the now. There was one card that popped up. I think it was this one. All right, so let's take a look at your cards. I'll pull these two first. Oh, interesting. This one popped up in pile 1, but this one popped up when I was shuffling and it kind of flicked up in pile 2. So I don't know, maybe I've watched them all and this is just like an update, but if you haven't watched pile 1 or 2, you don't have to, but that may be your calling to check one if you were thinking, oh yeah, this one's kind of calling, but I think I'll go with this one. And maybe there's like another layer to the message there. But you've got the Medicine Mother with honor your inner knowing, and the Wise One, grow within your current situation. So I love this one, honor your inner knowing. It's like your body's telling you many messages. If you're feeling, sometimes this is just an example, but like if you're feeling like I have a lot of knee issues, sometimes that can touch on going in the wrong direction. And I don't mean like if you have knee issues so you look after your knees or whatever and they're not in pain or anything like that, but if you're having like constant issues and that you're feeling it now, obviously if you've just run a marathon or something, that's a bit different. But like, you know, just general day-to-day where there's no explanation physically, there could be like questioning what you're doing. Are you doing the right thing? Are you learning? Are you growing within whatever's happening, or are you instigating or trying to deflect at the moment? Because taking ownership of what's happening to you by not really taking ownership of what other people are doing to you, but how you respond and how you take in information, how you process it in your own kind of brain, computer brain. So interesting cards coming through. I like these two together because this is like growth within situations and trust within yourself. So really do trust yourself. Okay, you've got compassion. The says open mind and kind heart. This is really nice. Fufta is this little character here. Really, really, really sweet and kind and like nice to everyone, right? And sometimes mistreated. And that talks to boundaries, not to him having to change who he is. He doesn't have to be an ass to other people just because that's one way of deflecting negative energy. He just needs to call it out and be very clear with how he feels. He doesn't have to change who he is at a like soul or a core level, especially if it's like high vibe, good energy. But there's always going to be people who want to either tear it down or come between it, and that's not his problem, right? That's their issue to deal with. So that's when it gets called out. It's like, what you're putting on me, I do not take. That's your issue to take. Whatever you're going through, I hope you are able to deal with that, but I'm not taking on that energy. So it's kind of like those kind of boundaries, right? However they work in reality is, however each individual wants to like run that kind of scenario or program. And a guide from deep inside. Yeah, this is definitely about inner knowing, trusting yourself. If there is some healing you're going through, it's trusting that you need this time to heal. I did talk about sickness, right? And appreciation when we're not sick. Just know that if you are feeling spiritually drained, psychologically drained, something like that, go like even physically, go out and get the assistance you need, wherever that may be. Doctors, psychiatrists, all that kind of stuff. But this is really like also trust your inner guidance, trust your gut feelings, trust yourself. I say gut feeling mostly because most people are generators if you follow human design, or manifesting generators, which has got the sacral defined, which just talks about the gut feeling. But you may not be that. So there's other inner authorities, but really it's an inner authority regardless of whether it's coming from the gut, the brain, the heart, that kind of thing. I've got overseers and monitored, mirrors, sorry. It says monitored, controlling, and boundaries. Like I said, we've already talked about setting boundaries. This is really important. This can be within ourselves too, when we start to go down a path of like, how dare this person did this to me? And I'm going to be angry. And then the next interaction I have with like a cashier or something, it rolls onto them because I say something sharp, quick, angry, and then you're just feeding negative energy out into your world. And you don't have to do that. It's kind of like catching yourself off. It's like, wait, that's not happening now. I don't need to focus on that. What am I doing now? I'm shopping groceries. Focus on what I need to get. And, just don't get caught up in the head with old stories. There was one thing that kind of popped up with overseer. It could have been like a controlling relationship too. Like someone who kind of tells you what to do, or it's reminding me of a movie where this woman was like stuck on some island or something with her husband, and he needed to have the towels straight, right? Everything had to be spotless and all the stuff. And if they weren't, she was abused. And so she kind of plans her breakaway. She smashes one of the lights out by like this wharf, and she learns how to swim and she gets out of there. Essentially, she plans it all and has a day where she runs away or escapes her prison, really. Even though it's a beautiful house, nice area, that kind of thing, that doesn't mean that it's a good situation for them. So that kind of tells you all those worldly external things mean nothing if your soul is trapped. So interesting. Again, hopefully that's not where you are now, but this does feel like potentially a past kind of situation, scenario, or at least a story that can relate to maybe something that you feel keeps you stuck or keeps you not really in where your heart should be. See this like little attachment. So, and like here, he's like found some bread, right? Challah bread. And so he's like holding on to it, even though he's like, this is what's important, even though his sovereignty is being latched. Not really exactly what this card's about, but it does make sense with the other cards that have come through. But you've got the Golem and Challah with creation, control, and consumption. So it's like, what is pulling my energy in a way? And it's like the overseer might not be a particular person. It could be like Instagram or like TikTok, right? It could be something like that really we just go mindlessly looking into, and then we read the comments and then we get angry and it sets our tone and we get upset. I wish there was a way a particular system would just stop, just like completely stop the option of even clicking on comments, because we all do it, and I'm sure you've all done it as well, and then got stuck in that and got in our heads with like what people are saying or meaning, and being like, why are there so many likes to this horrible person's like message or whatever. Just know that their soul's going through their own existence as well. Try not to get into judgment or anger or like upset about it. Everyone's just trying to do whatever they think is correct in those moments, and sometimes making those kind of comments are what they feel is correct. Whether they still believe it in 6 months or a year, it's set, right? Unless the person deletes it that has posted the video. But it's not for you to take on board that energy, just as much as it's not for you to pass on that energy to unsuspecting people, that kind of thing. So it's just about being really fully aware of like what's holding us in, and why are we holding on to the things we want. So it's like, there's like a layer effect, right? Control. You've got the wisdom of the sacred with the high priestess. This is a beautiful time of self-discovery, I feel, with this card coming through. High priestess, similar to the original high priestess and Rider Smith? Wait, Rider, whatever. Traditional tarot, it's got wisdom of the sacred. This is a really big opportunity to grow. It feels like, to uncover more of yourself, to integrate more of who you are with what you've created in this reality right now. There's so much more than just what you're experiencing and just like the bits and pieces that you're trudging along with you. All right, you've got the garden, the 9 of earth guardians. This is really nice. This is about abundance, but this is from hard work and earned abundance, right? This is a person who has worked 60 hours a week for a long time to be able to afford a deposit to really get that house that they want, or whatever their goal is. Like, that's an external thing, or like has taken a year off work to, you know, quote unquote, find themselves, or find like more about themselves by experiencing the world in a different way, or just experiencing life in a different way from what we're expected to do. So I like that. It's like you have an opportunity to find and gain not just the material wealth, but like the spiritual wealth as well. Especially right next to the high priestess, a lot of like deeper understanding of who you are, maybe even remembering past things that have occurred, to assist with what's going to happen in the future. And we've got the woodland forest with the sage of earth guardians. This is also well, not counterpart, but a alternative to the king of pentacles. I do like this one because it feels like, you know, a magical world, kind of like going into the woods. Like, this is like some of the colder, deeper, darker areas, but there's also magical moments and a variety of life out there, right? And in some of these hidden spots in the world. So while the garden might be constructed, contained, and getting, you know, putting down seeds that you want to grow, this is also experiencing the wildness of like what else is out there and other opportunities. How does that relate to your reading exactly? I'm not too sure. I just think it's a beautiful card that's come through. But this is also, again, having not just beautiful things, but also things that help nourish and nurture you to grow as well. And that's what's really important. Not about all this other BS. It's really about like things that are important. And that comes from you, whether that's travel, inner discovery, just the type of work that you love to do, or artistry that you enjoy. You know, it's all tapping in to yourself, not from the external. It's not. This isn't something that's told to you or given to you. This is something that you discover from within. All right, and then we've finally got this card coming through. Very nice. I did say to pile 1. This one popped up in pile 1. Sorry, spoiler alert. But in pile 1, I did see this, and I was like, interesting, because this popped up in my meditation before I stream or like do a reading. I do like a quick 10-minute meditation. This one took a little bit longer because I think I slightly fell asleep. But anywho, it's a suspended one, so you can see that as the Hanged Man, Celestial Tree of Infinite Akash. There's so much more that you've already been through in different lifetimes, different stories, different things that have occurred in your path and in your past as well, on your path, in your past, that we don't have to define our whole lives by a particular lifetime, like all our lifetimes, right? So we also don't have to focus on the past or like this lifetime, one scenario that's occurred, whether it was 10 minutes, an hour, 6 years, to define our future, especially if it's not occurring now. We don't have to fear that it's coming up because we've already been through it. This is like, the hard stuff is kind of past. This is like an opportunity to clear and grow and learn from it as well. So I think this is where this one's tapping into. It's like the past is what helps us grow and learn, not what holds us back and hinders us. And it can do, but this is like your message. You don't have to let that happen. You can still be the good hearted soul person that you are. You know, just because you're like, yeah, but this happened to me. I can't go back. And it's like, you're not going back, you're moving forward. You're just not letting what already was in the past dictate who you are now, or dictate who you're going to be in the future. Sorry, there's like a scrub turkey walking past my window. It's like, hello, scrub turkey. Anyway, so again, kind of like turkeys are a sign of gratitude, right? Especially in America with Thanksgiving, they always talk about a turkey. But it's also like abundance. So there's so much more. Be grateful for who you are and what you have now, and be grateful for this moment to be able to overcome these situations that have tilted like your good soul nature. Even if, let's say, you go on a really dark path for the rest of your life, I don't think that's going to happen. But let's just say that happened. It's still not going to alter your soul at its core. You're still going to have that good soul energy within. It doesn't dim it. But also, why let it impact the rest of this lifetime? You don't have to do that. All right, so I'm just going to pull a card of like, what's the next step for you? Because I think this is going to help. Like, what's the next step for you moving forward? What can you think about? What can you do with this information in this reading moving forward? I think there's like hints in here, but we'll just get a card anyway because I think it'll help. Okay, so what can you do to move forward? Interesting, you've got the shapeshifter with transform and unveil your gifts. That was interesting because I was speaking to someone today, a friend who had a dream of teaching people or beings how to shapeshift in a dream that they had. So it's just very interesting. But what does that mean? You got shapeshift to unveil your gifts. Or transform rather, to unveil your gifts. So it's not changing who you are, it's evolving through many different kind of like lifetimes, different learnings and different lessons in this life. So it's not seeing them as something that holds you back, it's seeing them as something that unveils your truth, even if it puts you on a path of shadow sometimes. The dark night of the soul, right? That's not, the dark night of the soul is not there to destroy you, it's there to help you or push you along an evolutionary path. Okay, so what else can you do? Nice, release the old and rest. Yeah, essentially the old needs to go. With autumn coming through, there's letting go of the past, letting go of the tree, lets go of its leaves. The leaves are the things that helped it live, right? And so it's like letting go of part of your lungs, even like that kind of thing, because they know that this is a time of slowing down, and in the future they'll be able to grow new, essentially lungs. They'll be able to grow new leaves to help them produce. But it's like that idea of letting go of a tree just doesn't naturally without fighting. As humans, we want to fight. We don't want to let go of the past. We want to hold on to it because, I don't know, we're used to holding on to it maybe, or there's might be many reasons, or it's too hard to let go of. But this is what your cards are saying, that there is a good reason for these cards coming out, and it's through the center line that it's like where the challenge comes in. But you're so much more than that. You know, trust yourself, honor yourself, grow within these challenges. Do not let them get the better of you, because they don't have to. Okay, that is exactly what I see in your reading pile number 3. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. I'm going to leave this here. Any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. But I just want to thank you for letting me read for you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.